The Federal is organizing the Tenkasi Marathon 2024 on March 24. This marathon is about raising awareness for 100% voting, supporting breast cancer awareness, and celebrating International Women's Day month. This event is sponsored by Unam Scan.
Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. The Supreme Court of India today pulled up the State Bank of India for not providing the unique ID numbers in addition to the disclosures which they have made regarding the electoral bonds which were purchased and which were redeemed. Now, yesterday, Election Commission had shared that data. They had published it on the website. And since that time, people have been trying to join the dots as to which are the companies, when the raids happened, how much is the amount which they have given to BJP. But today, very categorically, Supreme Court actually said that the SBI should have disclosed the unique number, which they haven't. So, and now they have been given time. SBI has been served a notice and they need to come back to the court by March 18th. So what does this mean? Does it mean that SBI did not comply with the Supreme Court's order, which was given on March 11? Joining me now is veteran Supreme Court lawyer Sanjay Hedge. So thank you so much for joining. So what does this notice to the State Bank of India, which has been given to them, really mean? Does it mean that they did not comply with the orders fully, and which is why they've got this notice?
Well, the order of the Supreme Court had required the SBI to do certain things. You may remember that the SBI wanted to drag its feet on even complying with the order. They wanted an extension until the 30th. Then the manner in which they complied with their order was not a complete compliance, because the original order said that the SBI shall submit details of the electoral bonds purchased since the interim order to date. The details shall include the date of purchase of each electoral bond, the name of the purchaser, and the denomination. And then the SBI were to also submit the details of political parties which have received contributions. So the SBI just enumerated. It did not give full disclosure. It did not give the details. Now, if a political party had encashed the bond, what was the bond number that was encashed? That is also a significant detail. The SBI had not put that out, and nor had it put the numbers of the bonds which were purchased.
Right.
So those details will also now have to be given, unless the SBI comes with very good reasons why they are unable to give it, or they don't want to give it.
No, but as of now, Mr. Hegde, what does it look like that they willfully they didn't disclose, because this unique number is supposed to be the matching code, which apparently will try and bring a connection between the bonds which have been purchased, who has been the beneficiary political party. So does it look like a willful non-disclosure on the part of SBI?
Well, the SBI probably said that whatever we have complied is enough. They may have taken legal advice, or they may not have taken legal advice. And the Supreme Court says, no, read our order again, and you have to give all details. See, just let me illustrate it for your viewers. If you take out any currency note, there is a number on that.
Yes.
Imagine that currency note, the number was not there, or the number was hidden, but bankers could see it. So if that currency a note was transacted and within 15 days then put back into the bank, the bank would say that I gave this currency note, I gave a currency notes of 500 rupees denomination, 10 currency notes to Mr. X. And the bank may still say 8 currency notes Mr. Y deposited, 10 currency notes Mr. Z deposited, etc., etc. Now, unless that number, which is known only to the bank, is given out, you can't match who got which particular transaction. So therefore, today the court has said, please now disclose the numbers as well.
Another clarification today, Justice D.Y. Chandrachud's bench was asking that where is the SBI Council? So just needed a little clarification as to why the SBI Council was not present today.
See, the SBI was not a party to the original proceedings. The original proceedings were challenging the very enactment of electoral bonds, and that was struck down. The SBI was not a party at that point of time. But the SBI had been given directions because they were the only people who had all the details and who had kept the information. So thereafter, the SBI, as I told you earlier, had come in an application of its own saying that we need time to comply till the 30th of June, etc., etc. Their application got dismissed. They again thought that there were no more parties to the proceedings.
Right.
So the Chief Justice said, oh, you were there when you made that application. You don't seem to be here today. Please come.
Right. But Mr. Hegde, what is very surprising is the fact that Supreme Court had wrapped SBI, then SBI shares had started plummeting. It seems that SBI hasn't learned its lessons. If this was if at all, we think that this was a willful non-disclosure, they must have consulted their legal advisor, as you were saying, and there could be some reason why they did not disclose this unique ID numbers of the electoral bonds. So does it go to show, if you connect the dots, that they still have something to hide, which apparently they are very, very reluctant, from disclosing to the court and to the people?
Well, lawyers have that phrase, an unwilling witness. So SBI is a bit like that. It will not volunteer information. The specific questions have to be asked to you to draw out the information. The SBI does not seem to be making a full and candid disclosure of everything that it knows.
No, so SBI, so which means that SBI doesn't fear that there could be some action against the bank, or because like people have been saying that, this SBI chairman should be jailed, there should be some strict punitive measures against him in the manner in which they have acted. So which means that they haven't really shaken out of their slumber.
Well, maybe they think that they can risk a few more raps before their position becomes untenable. I think that's the kindest way of putting it.
Right. Another little clarification which I needed, Mr. Hegde, that today ECI had filed an application because they were seeking the return of those sealed envelopes which they had given to the Supreme Court. So was this the particular application under which this notice was sent to the CBI? It was during this hearing. Just a little clarification for the viewers.
See, earlier the ECI had submitted certain details to the Supreme Court of the earlier transactions in the earlier years. That was in a sealed cover. The ECI said that we never kept copies of it. Therefore, they made an application saying, can you please return the data? And we will put that also on the website.
Right.
But obviously, the Supreme Court said, yes, we will scan it ourselves and keep a copy for ourselves. And then we'll let you put it out on the website. That's what has happened.
Right. So now coming to March 18th, when SBI comes back with certain responsible responses, we do not know what they will tell the court particularly on that day. But does it mean that some more skeletons might come out of the cupboard once those electoral unique ID numbers are given to the court?
See, when the unique ID numbers are also, the court is not asking for those numbers just to keep it with itself. Obviously, that once the data has been put out in the public domain, this part of the data will also have to be put out in the public domain. And yes, it will make the job easier to know with certainty that this particular tranche of electoral bonds was bought by this particular person, and it ended up in the hands of this political party at this particular point of time. when you have all those data points, then what happened later as far as that company which bought the bonds is concerned? Did certain inquiries suddenly get dropped, or did they suddenly get a big contract? All those, that information too can be collated.
Right. But there are a lot of subsidiary firms about which a lot of websites and news platforms have reported that, there's not enough information as to who are the actual beneficiaries and to which political party has actually the money gone. So with the initial set of information, which was shared by the Election Commission of India, some very startling ones, of course, just to remind for the viewers, is the top donor, Future Gaming and Hotel Services. Then we have Megha Engineering. Future Gaming alone has donated about 1368 crore to the BJP. Megha Engineering seems to have backed some big contracts. Then Quick Supply Chain Private Limited, which seems to be a Reliance subsidiary firm. Then we have Aurobindo and Shirdi Sai, which donated. Apparently, after the IT raids, that's how people have tried to put the two and two together. Then again, a very startling case of Serum Institute of India, which donated 52 crores to BJP in just one day. And now people are saying that apparently the foreign vaccines, the Pfizer and Moderna, they were not allowed into India. So was the monopoly bought over? Then another startling case has been that of a Pakistan-based hub power company, which donated money to the BJP weeks after the Pulwama attack happened. So these are some of the startling cases which have really come out. But of course, this list is long. About 1,200 to 1,300 companies are there. But the initial set, which you see, Mr. Hegde, legally speaking, does this put BJP really in a tight corner now? And it's very difficult for them to explain how this has happened. And does it look like a very big scam now?
Well, let me put it this way. One of the advantages of growing old is that you have a very long memory. And if you go back to the Bofors days, ultimately, no particular payment specifically in somebody's hands could ever be proved. But the very fact that there were transactions in Swiss banks to the two agents of the arms companies, one Mr. Vin Chadda, if memory serves me right.
Yes, yes.
All these things were there, and that was what 64 crores was the total thing. Now what are we talking about? Thousands of crores. So right. Yes, let's put it this way: that all parties need money to run their operations. Elections are expensive and all that. But you do raise money through donations, through invites and things like that. But here you seem to have used the coercive machinery of the state very close in time to the to the time that these donations were made. And also those who made donations, some of them got some huge contracts very soon thereafter.
Yes.
So there now is enough there must be enough in the hands of a competent prosecutor to proceed if so warranted. I would not be surprised if some particular either a public-spirited person or some other institution were to begin investigations.
In fact, E.S. Sarma, who's the former secretary to the government of India, today he has written to the president of India, Draupadi Murmu, that there should be a CVC inquiry into this. Now, I do not know whether the president will initiate an inquiry like this, but since the demands have already started growing louder for an investigation. But my question to you, Mr. Hegde, is that does this trail, what has been published as of now, does it establish enough evidences about quid pro quo, intimidation, extortion? Basically, the premise what you've just been talking about. So does it is this enough evidence to establish a case out of this?
Well, if it had been, if the shoe had been on the other foot, you can bet that there would have been FIRs lodged, and at the same point of time, ED investigations also launched, and the ED would have powers of arrest, and bail would be very difficult.
True.
Now, please, I'm not saying it's correct or anything. You take the Delhi liquor case. What is being alleged that there was a cash payment made in Goa, which was used for the purposes of Goa elections. Now, if instead there had been electoral bonds and then there had been changes in policy, ask the ED, would a case have been made out or not made out?
True. But Mr. Hegde, does this look like, I mean, in the last 10 years, if you look at the tenure of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, is this the biggest scam which has stumbled out of the BJP's cupboard? And is it almost like akin to what America's Watergate was? Or is it something bigger than that?
Watergate was only the President of the United States asking for an investigation to be called off, because that investigation would have implicated his party. There was not a financial angle in it. Here, there is a huge financial angle. The only defense that all the political parties, and I'm not speaking BJP, is that this was money which was raised for party funds and for conducting elections. But this was money which was raised secretively from corporates, from shady corporates, from corporates which were making a loss but were nevertheless buying electoral bonds. So this is, I think, of a different order of magnitude. And these electoral bonds only remind me of what a great lawyer once said. He was a very strict Brahmin Hindu. He said, "I never touch beef. I always use a knife and fork."
That's an interesting analogy. But Mr. Hegde, now, if everything is established and then it looks like a very, very serious crime, a serious case of money laundering and all of that, so what kind of a punishment really is in sight? And who is really going to be held accountable? Can the buck stop at the Prime Minister, the Home Minister, the Finance Minister, or the SBI? Who's really going to become the scapegoat in this particular case?
No.
Yes.
So it would be a mistake to take this whole case as one complete transaction. There are a series of transactions.
Okay.
I would probably think that cases under the Prevention of Corruption Act could be lodged in case it could be proven that one particular public contract, maybe for digging a tunnel or something,
right,
was awarded to this particular company, and there was a quid pro quo in the form of electoral bonds. Please don't, when you try to take on a huge problem altogether, then you're more likely to muddy the situation. There would have to be cold, clinical unpacking of each transaction, and wherever there is criminality, or in a few specific high-value cases of criminality, I think there should be prosecutions, and which could see the light of the day.
Right. But one last question, Mr. Hegde, that what about this Pakistan-based hub power company?
I believe that that may be a mistake. There are people who say that there is a similar company which is India-based, and you see, ultimately there would have to be a KYC at the point of time of buying the electoral bonds. So it's unlikely to be a Pakistan company.
Right. So if you are saying that this could be a series of transactions which have happened, so which means we will collate this as a series of fraud or a series of crime which we will look at. So where will the buck stop? Are we going to look at the corporates separately? Are we going to look at the political ecosystem separately? Are we going to look at the finance ministry, what it has been doing? How did it allow the country's largest bank to get into all this? I mean, are we going to compartmentalize? I mean, who are the real players behind this entire fraud? Where will the buck stop finally then? I mean, will Prime Minister Narendra Modi will have to step down? That's the big question.
What I see, listen, 2000 years ago, Aesop once said, we hang our petty thieves and elect the great ones to public office. So when there are things of a wholesale case like this, there is much more than law involved. There is a morality of the public. There is a morality of the ruling classes of the polity. As prosecutions, if prosecutions are launched, and as the picture gets clearer, then obviously there may have to be consequences higher up the chain. But it's not likely to happen in the next 8 weeks or 10 weeks. Before any of these investigations and all happen, the public has the right to come to their own judgment. And I think if it would now be a duty of the public to determine what kind of democracy they want for this country,
True.
What kind of leadership they want for this country, and what kind of corporates do they want to be allowed to manipulate the leadership of this country.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll have to wait and watch how these things unfold and what happens on March 18th, more significantly, when SBI has to come back with those unique ID numbers. Thank you so much, Mr. Hegde. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this interview, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal. Thank you.
The Federal is organizing the Tenkasi Marathon 2024 on March 24. This marathon is about raising awareness for 100% voting, supporting breast cancer awareness, and celebrating International Women's Day month. This event is sponsored by Unpacking Scan.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.